Father, we just thank you for Jeremy and Bridget, and Lord, we just pray for this morning that the word that comes through, Lord, stir us, Lord, that we would be open, and Lord, just let the stories wash over us of what you're doing in Oxford and further afield. Thank you, Lord. Amen.
Thank you. Morning, everyone.
Morning.
Great honour to be able to come up here today and be able to share a little bit about what we've been able to do over the past couple of years, connecting with YWAM Ships Aotearoa. So YWAM Ships Aotearoa, or YSA, are a sub-ministry of YWAM Furnace, based in Tauranga. They operate as their own independent ministry, but have strong connections with YWAM Furnace. So their mission is basically to empower a healthy future for isolated Pacific communities. So to be able to reach people that may not necessarily be able to be reached by normal means of vehicle or by planes, etc. I guess be able to use a boat to be able to get to places. Fiji, they've been travelling to since 2022. And they generally will travel between the months of June to October to avoid any of the cyclone season, to be able to get up there, do the missions, and then get back to the Port of Tauranga. The Mercy ships in Tauranga have been going for a long, long time. They haven't always had ships available. So it's quite a blessing that in 2019 they were gifted the YWAM Koha. And that continued the ability to be able to send medical ships out from the berth of Tauranga into the Pacific. They provide free medical care, including optometry and dental. And basically, Fiji is made up of over 300 islands, and 110 of those islands are uninhabited. So you can imagine how many people feeling much need medical services, and they generally can't get them easily. Simply trying to travel from those islands to the main island is cost inhibitive. It's too much money. It's months of labour, wages, just to get a trip across. So in general, they don't travel. Let's see if the technology works. Zach, can you get it on the back screen as well for me, so I can see what I'm doing? I have. Nice try. I'm going to blame my son Zach, who's on the computer. There we go. The YWAM Koha. So its previous life, it was the transportation and ferry basically between New Zealand and the Pitcairn Islands. And for any of you that like shark movies, it did have a starring role in The Meg. So painted black back then, but now repurposed into a medical ship. It has 2 dental containers on it, so you can see them just sitting up there. They're fully kitted out as medical containers, dental containers that have everything you would expect if you walked into your dentist back here. X-rays, sterilisation, everything. So for those that are wanting a bit of ship information, 48 feet. So I'm just going to share a quick video. There's the shipping containers that have been kitted out into dental. And hopefully, sound.
I believe one of the ships Aotearoa is creating change through multiple ways. I think change or transformation, which I think that Lauren will recently, what's it mean? If that's the goal, what's it back up with it? So many things. I think the isolated islands of the Pacific, just being present, being anchored off the berth, where the villagers look out their window and see this medical ship sitting there. They know there's doctors, nurses, there's
1 Peter 4:10, each of you should use whatever gift you have received to serve others, as faithful stewards of God's grace in its various forms. Back 32 years ago, when I was younger and had hair, I did a DTS on board the Pacific Ruby out of Tauranga, Mercy ship, and we travelled at the time up to Tonga and through the Tongatapu, the main island, and Hapai group, completing our DTS. And that was my initial connection. I loved it, always wanted to do it more, but God had other plans at the time, which we faithfully did. So I've always had that desire to go again, have that opportunity, God willing. And a couple of years ago, that was given back to us, that opportunity. The kids were a little bit older, we could had the time to be able to spend and go. So back when I did my DTS, my roommate was a guy named Tony Fish, and Tony remained with the Mercy ships all the way through, and he's now the technical director for them. So I've always kind of had a connection and from afar, watched what they were doing over the years, and then obviously once they were gifted the ship in 2019 and were able to travel in 2022, it got me excited again. So we were lucky to be able to do that. And Bridget.
Oh, yeah. Hello, I hope everyone can hear me. I've not spoken on one of these before, so ever since I was 16 when I became a Christian, and what I wanted to do in life was be a vet, and when I became a Christian I decided I wanted to help people, so I changed and decided to do nursing. And when I did my training I heard about these ships, Christian medical ships that go overseas and help those that don't have access to medical care, and I thought that's what I would love to do. But I never did, and went through, had children and worked. And then when Jeremy found out about the YWAM ships Aotearoa, that they were serving Fiji and doing outreaches that were nice short periods of 1 to 2 weeks, I thought, oh, we can do that, that's really exciting. And so it was doable to be able to get leave off work and go and do what I'd always dreamed about doing, and helping people that just can't get that medical treatment. And so we signed up, and I think we applied in the end of 23, and then we heard back in the new year and in 24, and that's the year that we did our first outreach. So I'm just going to talk about what it was like on board the ship. Working with the team, there's the ship team, the crew members that are on, help keep the boat going and everything, and then there's the outreach team, the ones that have volunteered to come on for the shorter period of time. You're sort of having dinner with them, you're working with them, they become like part of your family, and that's sort of what it felt like on board, that you had another family there. There's some photos coming up, and you might recognise some people, some of you. Oh, yep. So everyone chips in and does their bit. On the left, you've got Marty, who you saw in the video. He's the director. And you've also got Val. Some of you might know Val. She used to be down in YWAM, based in Oxford here. And she's also our volunteer facilitator. She was our first person that we were in contact with. And we had our interview as well. And she just sort of talked us through the process, told us what it was going to be like and what we needed to do. And then also Val on our second outreach in 25 last year, she was the ship leader and also the cook, so there she is. And then on the right hand side you might recognise Christiana, Greg and Joy's niece. She's been working on the YSA ship for the last couple of years, I think, and she was in the outreach we did last year. She became the the clinic coordinator, and yeah, she did a great job. Just in the clinics, you kind of got to think on your feet, and things are changing every day, and to keep things running smoothly. So yeah, she did a great job coordinating us. But yeah, everyone chips in, does a helping hand. Oh, Jeremy there, he's got a story to share about laundry.
Not everyone is successful at getting the laundry basket from the laundry to the lounge. We had a lovely captain that was doing the night shift, that was trying to be helpful, so doing people's loads of washing during the night. Unfortunately, as he was climbing out of the bulkhead, tripped, lost the full basket over the edge of the boat, and it floated away. But I'm sure someone in the village would have been blessed with some new clothing, and so it's a very important task.
And then, just a side note, we're not all dressed up like that all the time when we're doing our things, but that was the last night of our outreach, and so we have a celebration dinner and everyone gets dressed up, so that's why we're all dressed up. But yeah, everyone has their turn at doing dishes and we all just chip in when we can. And then if you like coffee, you don't have to worry about missing out, because there's 2 coffee machines on board, and they're great in the mornings when you're feeling tired and when you get back from the clinic outreaches and it's very hot. Yeah, great, you can make a nice iced coffee. So that was good. And then, yeah, everyone just chips in, serves with a willing heart. We have these duties that each one gets assigned called ship shape. Everyone has to do something to help. So I was on cleaning showers. I went to breakfast one morning and I was, cleaning the girls' showers. There was another lady that did that with me, and she came up and said, "Oh, I've cleaned your showers. You don't have to do it today." And I thought, oh, that's so nice. But yeah, everyone is just, looking out for each other. And so then I just made sure I got up nice and early the next day and did her shower for her. But yeah, on board, there's definitely a culture of encouragement. And I've just got the verse up there, 1 Thessalonians 5:11. Therefore, encourage one another and build one another up, just as you are doing. So just on the ships on board each morning before the clinic, we would meet up on deck, and it would just be a time where, we would, a time of encouragement. Often there'd be a Bible verse. We might get told to talk to the person next to us and just give them a word of encouragement, or sometimes all of us would shout out at the same time 10 things that we were thankful for that morning. And when you're feeling tired and it's in a little bit hard to get going, by the end of that and a prayer to go out with, we just felt like our spirits were lifted. We felt encouraged. So also at the end of the day, when we came after dinner, we would have a time after dinner where we shared stories, and we would do shout outs for each other and recognise how hard people have worked. And we just really felt like the verse said that we were built up. The encouragement did build us up. There's another verse, Proverbs 16:24. Kind words are like honey, sweet to the soul and healthy for the body. And it's true, there's nothing like kind words of encouragement that helps to get rid of any negative feelings or the weariness. And I sort of felt like that was something I could take back to New Zealand, that I can share in my work at home, at church, that just to give people encouragement, because it just helps lift them up and it helps them just show a bit of God's love. And like it says, kind words are like honey. They are sweet to the soul and they are healthy for the body. So the next part I want to talk about is just how we got ready for outreach. The first outreach we did in 24 was to the Yasawa Islands. It was over 2 weeks. We went to 3 villages. The first week was in Soso village, and the second week we went to 2 different other villages. So there was a bit of sailing in between each village. In the first outreach, I think they had some ship issues, so we were the only outreach that year, and it was very large numbers. We had 49 people on board, and there weren't quite enough cabins to go around, so we actually got put on a yacht. There were 3 yachts that came to help, and yeah, so we had the experience of travelling to the beautiful islands of Yasawas on a yacht, and it was just amazing. God's creation is awesome with the beautiful scenery that we saw. And the second outreach was quite different. In 25, we ended up travelling down to Suva on the boat, and then we had to be down there because they had we're needing the dry dock for the boat because it needed some work done. Originally we were meant to be going to Rumby Islands, but we ended up going on a land-based clinic 30 minutes out of Suva in Nasori village, so that was quite different. But in preparing for going on these outreaches, the day before we would meet as a team and figure out who was in what team. There was a medical team, dental team, and optometry team, and a lot of volunteers came that didn't have experience in either that, and that was absolutely fine because we had lots of volunteers that were able to step up and help. I think Jeremy was a runner in the first one, so he helped take people to where they needed to go after they were seen by the medical team. And then the optometry team needed lots of help for eye testing, so people got trained up on doing that and also on helping the dentist, so you could be a dental assistant too if you want. And on the morning of the outreach, you get taken in a tender in a little boat, which is those there, and we had Crocs on generally because you had to jump out in the water and get your feet wet on the beach to get to the village. But on the Suva one, we'd have a nice jetty that we could get out. What was involved for the medical clinics? The first day that we would arrive in the village, we'd set up. It would be a little bit of a setup there. Sometimes it'd be in just a roof and no walls. Other times you'd be in a hall. Sometimes the registration you'd just be on a porch. But generally so we'd set up the area for the medical and the dental and the optometry. The first point of call, they'll come and see the nurses. We would do the registering. We'd just take their details and we'd take a bit of history from them, like the medical surgical history, and then we'd check their blood pressure, their blood sugar, weight, heights, and it would just do a bit of a general health check really. And then sometimes we had a doctor with us, and sometimes we didn't, but we had referral forms that we could say you can come back and see the doctor, and we'd do a referral form for the doctor when they were here. We did a lot of education on healthy eating and healthy lifestyle. We kind of would try and get familiar with what food they had on the island because they were very limited to what they could grow sometimes, so the access to healthy fruit and vegetables is limited to what they can grow. There's a lot of laughter and things that we would, when they came through, we had these tiny, tiny scales. I'm sure they're the smallest scales you could find in Fiji, but the Fijian people's feet are real big, and they just generally would hang over the edge of the scales, but they did the job. So there's a lot of giggling over there. And we'd try and, with the healthy eating, you'd have this special plate that said half of it should be veggies, fruit, and then that would divide up the other half to a quarter protein, quarter carbs. Anyway, you try and tell them about the size of the plate, not to be too big, not to be mountains of food, and generally most people would smile or laugh because they generally eat with a big plate. But it was quite it was a lot of fun, and it was nice being able to tell people what they could do to help themselves. But the best part was at the end of registration. I always asked if they wanted me to pray for them, and what they'd like me to pray for them about. Sometimes it was about their health. Sometimes they were just nervous about going to see the dentist, that it might hurt. And other times it would be about their family. And there's, sad stories of loss. There were some tears shed, but all in all, everyone was really grateful. No one said no. The whole all of the outreaches, I asked everybody, and everybody that came through, in both the 24 and 25, not one person said no, and that was just blew me away. It's like, wow. And it sort of made me think, like, how many times have I missed opportunities where I could have asked someone if they wanted some prayer, and but just kind of pre-assumed that they may say no or not be interested. And God just, I think, did some great things over in Fiji there. And I think it just helped them feel reassured and know that God is looking after them. So that was pretty cool. And then also in the villages, they don't have a doctor on site, but they do have a healthcare worker. They're not really trained, like they're not nurses, but they have a little training. So while we're there, they'd have, got to sit with them, and they got to learn about how, how some education too, and they had the experience of being able to do a lot of the registration too, and learn some skills. So it was good being able to teach them. As I said, sometimes they had the doctor there, so it was really good that they could see them, because the doctor isn't based on the island. It involves a boat trip, which Jeremy mentioned earlier. There's a cost to that. Not many people can afford the cost of the petrol and to get there. So having the doctor come with us there was also a real blessing. Saw many answers to prayer through the time that I was there. One of the clinics last year, we had 3 ladies turn up, and it was a very busy day. The eye optometry team were especially busy. Everyone sort of wanted to see the eyes from the day before, so we had a backlog of people. And then these 3 ladies, they just come to have their eyes checked. That's all they wanted. And we were just having to say no to everybody that day because we were just too busy from yesterday. And shortly after they'd been praying together and they come through, the optometry team come over and said, "Oh, we've got a small window. We can see a small amount of people." And I think it was exactly just those 3 ladies that got seen. They got their glasses and they were so happy, and it was an answer to their prayer. Another time, we had this lady who looked after us really well at the last clinic. She set up a wee hot drink station with some snacks for us, and she really wanted to get her teeth looked at because she had pain in her teeth. But every time she'd come to us, her blood pressure was high, and if it was too high, they couldn't do anything because of the bleeding risk. So each day she'd come, we'd pray and get a blood pressure checked, and it was high. It was high every day, and the last day we checked it, and it was good enough that she could go and get her teeth. I think she had them removed, I'm not sure. But when we saw her again, she had a mouthful of something, and she couldn't talk, but she was a big smile on her face, and she just looked so happy. So that was an answer to prayer. And then also, I sometimes think God just put us there to be in the right place at the right time. On the first outreach, we had a very unwell lady, and she couldn't breathe, so they called for one of our nurses and doctors that were on the team there. They're able to get her lifted into a boat and take her to the nearest health centre, where they did have oxygen and things like that. And then from there, I think they organised her transfer to the mainland, to the hospital there. But yeah, she, if we'd not been there, she would have died on the village. So that was, yeah, God had us there in the right place, right time. And then another story is we had, at the last clinic, we had a lady come to get her eyes checked and her teeth checked, but when we checked her blood pressure in the screening, it was really super high. So high we'd consider it life-threatening, at risk of having a stroke. So we were able to then talk to the Fijian medical team that were there and get her referred to the local hospital. So yeah, if she had not come to get her eyes and teeth checked, we never would have known that she had that dangerous high blood pressure. So you could see God's hand at work there. I did forget to mention that because of the partnership with the Fijian government, they do provide some dentists, Fijian dentists and Fijian, they'll try and send along a Fijian doctor and nurse at times. So yeah, at the clinics we generally had some help from the Fijian people as well. And over to Jeremy.
So generally after registration, people either go to optometry or dental or both. We would use a runner that Bridget mentioned earlier, which is kind of like an orderly. So someone gets that job to be able to take them to where they need to go. It's a great job because you get that opportunity to talk to them while you're taking them. So just be able to share about New Zealand, share about God. It was really quite a special time. But on the last year's outreach, I thought I'd do something different. And so I got trained up as an optical assistant, something I've never done before. But that is the bonus if you're willing. If you're willing, there's a job for everyone to do. You don't have to be medically trained. You can just have a willing heart. So the optometry team is generally made up of an optometrist and a dispenser who will make up the glasses there and then, and the rest of the team is pretty much trained up of volunteers. So the assistant roles fairly much doing the eye charts, pressure tests, which measures the fluid inside the eyeball, and that can fairly much test for conditions like glaucoma. And we also use the autorefractor, which estimates the level of correction that may be required, and those bits of information just help the optometrist speed up their process so we can see as many people as possible. So basically once all the tests are done by people like us, and note to point out as well, we do have teenagers that come as well with parents and volunteer, and just as valuable on our team as well. So once the tests are all done, the optometrist will take them through an eye exam. Any referrals that need to be done for the likes of glaucoma or other conditions can be done by the optometrist, so they can hopefully see someone with the ministry. One of the things that you do see a lot of, especially in the outer islands, is cataracts, and cataracts developing in people that are quite young due to a lot of them fishing out in the water with no sunglasses. So everyone that comes through the optometry team and get tested get a pair of free sunglasses to try and hopefully protect them. When we were going through the last clinic, there was a young girl that came in, incredibly shy, wouldn't say boo to a mouse. I was taking her through the eye chart, wouldn't say much, looked down. Eventually, once we got through to the optometrist, similar type of thing, head down, optometrist trying to put the little things in, I'm pointing at the chart, just then, and all of a sudden, it must have been the correct prescription, and she sits straight up, eyes like goldfish type thing, and she shouts out, "I can see letters." And it's just the excitement and things, the change in her whole demeanour. It was hard after that to get her to carry on because she wanted to look around the room and look out the window and see everything, but just those little things can just make such a difference. YWAM Chips has a partnership with One Sight Foundation, which is like a humanitarian foundation of Essilor Luxottica, and they're one of the global glasses companies that pretty much own all the Ray-Bans, Oakley, etc. So they've got a charitable foundation to fairly much help those that are in countries that don't get the same ability to be tested, and they donate all the product. So all the product is brand new. The dispenser will make up those glasses for the people right there and then, so they've got the correct prescription, brand new glasses. It's an amazing cooperation between the two. There's our lovely dispenser working away. So once they've done optometry, or if they're just going to see a dentist, we pretty much, oh yep, sorry, missed one, let's go back. One of the stories that came out of one of the outreaches was a retired pastor that came in, got his eyes tested, got a pair of glasses, but he had lost the ability to be able to read the Bible. His eyesight was so bad. So correct prescription, goes away with some reading glasses, comes back the next day beaming and said, I've been up all night reading the Bible. So just those little things can make such a difference. The dental clinic will generally see people in the village. So initially we'll have a couple of dentists that will see them, work out what they need done, simple procedures, well, simple extractions of teeth, simple for a dentist, can get done there, but anything that's more extensive, fill-ins and things like that, we'll ferry them back to the ship and into one of the very nice dental containers. But because of the cooperation between the Fijian Ministry of Health and YWAM, they do generally provide a couple of dentists to travel with us on outreach. So it's great being able to share with them and find out their stories, and yeah, it's a great opportunity. So once again, there's roles to teach people to become dental assistants. So we use that opportunity. Yeah, it's not, I don't think I'll be going there next time. But yeah, it's quite amazing how quickly people will pick it up, because there is, I think you can see, where was that slide? Oh, it's not quite there. There are so many tools that all look about the same. And they ask for something and someone seems to know what it is, and I'm going, they all look roughly the same to me. So, but people pick it up pretty quickly. Through the dentistry, lives are changed. If you can imagine, if you're on an outer island, no access to the mainland where you can see dentists, and you're in pain, you've got no alternatives, no choice. What we did find was, when we were doing the outer islands on our first outreach in 2024, most people wanted to see the dentist. That was their first thing. Take me to the dentist, I want to see the dentist, want these teeth removed or fillings put in, just to stop the pain. Where when we did the one in Suva, where they probably had more access to dentistry initially, it was eyesight that was busier than, so just two different things. Obviously pain leads people to want something done pretty quickly. So we've got other initiatives as well.
At the Yasawas, we had the opportunity to visit the schools and check their teeth. So the dental team came along, and each and every child would have their mouth looked at, and then if they needed any work, they'd get sent to the dental ship to with the dental container to get some work done. While we're there, they had this amazing puppet show that was a lot of fun, had all of us laughing, and yeah, the kids were laughing. Yeah, it was great. So yeah, that just taught them about what was good for their teeth, what was bad for their teeth. And then the dentists also had some fluoride paste or varnish that we could put in the kid's mouth, which help reverse some of the decay and prevent decay. So that was great to be able to do that and just be a part of that and see how we can help. And then there was also enough toothbrushes for all the kids to have a toothbrush, toothpaste, and showed them how to clean their teeth, and we just cleaned our teeth for 2 minutes to the song of Happy Birthday over and over again. But the kids seemed to enjoy it, I think. Yeah, so we did that at the schools. And another thing we got to do while we were at the school was something called Days for Girls. I don't know if any of you have heard about that, but it's a global sort of non-profit organisation that makes sure in countries girls and women have access to the proper menstrual care and the information that they need to know. And so we were able to go in and have spend some great time with the girls, just sharing how special they were to God, and each girl got a kit with some washable, reusable pads. And you can just imagine that if you don't have access to that's really, they're stuck at home, they can't go to school. So having the kits could be really life-changing, that they can make sure they can go out and about and not be embarrassed. So that was really cool to be part of that. Another initiative you'll talk about?
Yeah, so one of the opportunities we had was we put a number of things on a little SD card. So it had the Jesus story film in Fijian. It had the New Testament in Fijian. It had worship songs in Fijian. So we had these little SD cards who would go around knocking on people's doors and saying, have you got a cell phone and would you like us to install these in? Oddly, most people had a cell phone, even though there's no cell phone reception anywhere, but they still had one somewhere. We had people that would initially just kind of say, oh no, look, I don't really use a cell phone, but as word spread of the information they had on it, next minute they'll be rummaging through, finding it, plugging in and charging, and then tracking us down and going, oh, I've got my cell phone now. So you'd put it in and people would be in tears just listening to, I guess, a movie in their own language. They would generally say, sit with me, let's watch it. And it's like, time, okay, for a little bit. But just, the emotion showed. And being able to go around the village, asking people, most of the time they would invite us to their houses and they would want us to sit and pray with them. So it's just such a special time for such a small little card.
And ignore that slide up there for the moment, but we also got to do home visits, which Marty mentioned. There were some people that just couldn't make it to the clinics because they couldn't walk there, so we'd get invited back to their home to come and see them. We had one guy that had some really bad wounds on his feet, so we were able to go. We had the doctor with us then too, and bring them back and dress his wounds and be able to talk to the healthcare worker on the island and be able to show them what to do to manage that once we were gone. So it's very special to be able to go into their home and be able to help them, and I think it's just, it just makes them feel, I think, that, God's looking after them. One of the, on the YSA website, there's a story about someone that went, she was an occupational therapist, and I think they were able to organise a wheelchair for a lady on the island. She had not been to the beach or seen the sea for about 20 years. She was just stuck in her home because of her mobility issues, and they showed a wee video of her going to the beach for the first time in 20 years in the wheelchair. So that was pretty cool. Things that can happen. one of the things we got to do that the YSA had sort of done with the generosity of sponsorship and everything was be able to donate gifts to the medical centres and health care workers. So after our week at clinic in Soso Village, we got to go and visit Kesi Health Centre. It was a boat trip away. It was there's 2 medical centres in the whole of the Yasawa Islands, and they have to kind of service all of the villages. But the boat ride there was very choppy, very wet. Somehow we survived, and the donations didn't get wet, so it was good. They were really, really grateful for what they received. The nurse got rashes from the gloves that she used, so there were some latex-free gloves, and she was just so excited about that, so that was really cool. It was just nice, we sat with them. These were the nurse and the doctor that we worked with the whole time we were in not the whole time, I think 3 days in the village. So we got to work alongside them, and just going to their clinic, we got to sit with them and chat and hear about their stories, and found out that they're kind of stuck there. They don't get to see their family for a long time because that's where they're working. And it was, we found out she got seasick with the boat, so they do have to do boat trips to go see people sometimes. So it was just nice to be able to sit in New Zealand, kind of feel like it's a bit of a Kiwi culture sometimes that we're rushing around and we don't have time to sit and listen, and it was just cool to experience that. We had a tour of their outpatient and ED room and their pharmacy, and in the ED room, which is the one on the right, there's no defibrillator, so just kind of brought to home just how lucky we are in New Zealand that we have things to save lives. They're very, just they have some things, but just very basic. Over to you.
God does stuff. The human mind plans the way, but the Lord directs the steps. So while we kind of know what we're going to do, got a plan, the ship's going, provide medical, dental, optometry, there's always stuff that God has got going on in the background. So while, we tend to go for an intended purpose, God's always got a better ultimate plan. So sometimes when you think things may be going wrong, it's not going wrong for God. He's just shifting our focus, whether it be the ship breaking down so we don't go to that particular island, we go to Suva. He's got a plan, and so one of the things you've got to do is be very flexible, not get too stressed if something's going to change. Just mindful of the time, but I'll just run through a couple of just little stories that we had. Just as Bridget mentioned, we spent some time on a yacht on the first outreach we went to. Our skipper on that yacht had recently lost his adult child through a medical event. So he was, I guess, taking time out in Fiji to collect himself. So to have that opportunity to share with them, be with them over that time was a very special and moving moment, to be able to have a cup of tea, cup of coffee late at night, just sitting on the back of a yacht, looking across the water, and being able to just help him unpack what he'd been through. One of the guys that had been partnering with YSA, and he pretty much single-handedly rewired the whole ship, is a non-Christian guy, but just believed in what the ship was doing. Last year, he decided he wanted to see what they actually did out in the outreaches, so decided to join our outreach. Then he wanted to go and check out one of the Fijian church services, and then went back to another Fijian church service and openly admitted at the end that he thought he had his belief system correct, and he was going back to reanalyze that. So God's always working. And then not everyone that volunteers is necessarily a Christian. So we had a dentist who was a self-proclaimed atheist. But he said to us at the end that he said, if I don't get seasick or a tummy bug, I've made a pact with God that I'll come back next year. And it's like, okay, nice. So, and even like we mentioned, obviously the ship, we were meant to have gone to Rambi. We didn't. We went to Suva. In Suva, there was that woman that Bridget said that had critically high blood pressure. So there's always things, God can take us wherever we need to go. And it's always fun when we're following what he's doing. Just got a couple of basic, there's some of the yachts and the Koha in the distance. Just some of the basic stats for the 2 outreaches that we were on. Quite a number of people that we get to see, pretty full on. But in all the time that YSA have been going, they are the figures. And many more hopefully will be added this year. Do we want a worship team to come back for? No, just because of the kids. Yep. Cool. Yep. I'll just finish up. I've got a big fish story. It was this big. It literally was. So we arrived the first day, because we were on the yacht, we thought, well, may as well throw a line over the back while we're sailing. Caught that. One of the Fijian boys filleted it up. We made kokondo, which is fairly much ceviche fish, coconut cream, lime juice, tomato, and that fish fed 50 people on the boat. So, big fish story. So just, I guess as we finish, thank you for the opportunity that we've had to be able to share with you. We'd love to chat with you if you've got any questions about the trips. Obviously there's opportunity to volunteer with YSA, there's opportunity to donate to YSA, opportunity just to pray for what the ship does and its crew and volunteers. But equally as much within our church here, we heard earlier in the month from Michaela, Erin, Tyler about their journeys in YWAM. So as a church, I'm sure it'd be good to be able to support and pray with those guys as they go on their journey, because those that do YWAM seem to always have a change in their heart. So
you kind of go expecting to be able to help other people, but you don't realise how much it can change you as well and what you experience.
So thank you very much.
Awesome. Thank you.